CTM meetings, we have an agenda that we follow that really nicely lays out the connection to the UDL work that we've been doing. We really start by focusing on a promise standard, really identifying those essential learning targets that we want students to meet by the end of the unit. Once we have those identified, we can look at different assessments, both the formative and our final summative assessment in the end. Knowing the goal, knowing what we want the students to learn and accomplish by the end, allows us to look back at what barriers they might face along the way.
I think our ultimate purpose is whatever we can do to make our students successful. Like, yes, we go and we collaborate, but we are collaborating for the purpose of whatever the topic is, how can we make every student successful in that topic?
Well, I think it's just every time we meet, there's always something good off of it, of like Ivy sharing her resources or the discussions that we had about our informative essay and how to get resources and make it so it's universal for our kids. Like we talked about having a visual dictionary in the classroom with like the pictures and the definition that kids create, and Ivy shared some really cool task cards and resources on informational writing, and it just overall was one of those meetings that you kind of left feeling really productive, accomplished, and in a good mood kind of thing.
We will then dive into whatever our topic is going to be. We try and pick one district-wide, so we collaborate with St. Germain, Montessori, and Land O'Lakes as well in 4th grade.
Well, Pat had a good idea too. We ended up going with the informational text on the second round of the CTMs because we're tying that into our SLO with informational text.
It is created like a checklist as well. So not only is it a rubric, but there's little boxes where the kids can kind of check off as they go to make sure they're hitting the points of whatever that standard is or that ELT in that section.
No, I think that looks really good. I'm really impressed with how we ended up being on the same page with the activity and some of the things going on. And I love sharing the resources. And I think our rubric is important to get that done because that's going to ultimately guide the process.
Once we take a look at some of the identified barriers, the predictability and challenges that students might face, we can come together and think about what predictable supports to put in place to help support all students. This might range from just differentiating graphic organizers to any supports that might benefit a few students or a majority of the students in the class.
Students who need the reteaching, just the one-on-one check-ins, making sure they have access to graphic organizers, digital graphic organizers if they need it so that they can use speech to text on it. Reteaching vocabulary because we know that there's a lot of high leverage tier 3 vocabulary within the writing that they're doing, and then making sure they're working on paraphrasing.
And we also talked about how if once the students know something, like how do we extend it for them? So we talked about creating maybe brochures or like a magazine article for those students who are ready for that next step to dive deeper into their learning.
Our collaborative team meetings really give teachers a chance to come together and share their individual expertise and their experiences.
I don't have a 4th grade team here, so it's just me. And so this way I feel like I get more out of it and just more resources, where we start talking with each other and Nicole says, oh, there's this if you look in the 4th grade drive that I don't necessarily see unless, somebody points it out. And it's also helpful when sometimes like Pat and Mark jump on in St. Germain, and Pat always has a lot of resources doing Montessori that she can share, which is helpful for me with the multi-age kids.
What I just like is we look at graphic organizers and the supports. Like it doesn't matter which specific topic, whatever fits each school best, but then the resources, the materials, the strategies kind of work across the board.
And then I can send you my rubric, and it's all in that folder, and I'll just send it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Having 2 grades is just, it's different than just having a, single grade. So our process might be different in how we run our writing block, but a lot of times I can still say, hey, I'm having a hard time with this. Does anybody have any ideas of how I could change that, or even those barriers with students. A lot of them are similar. So it's been really helpful.
We're able to proactively plan even before teachers begin the lessons for the needs that the students have. Rather than waiting until after the fact, until they fail or struggle, we've got plans in place going into the lesson. This really allows students to feel successful and helps them to become expert learners.